Yeah, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Nanda. Let's start with the Kirtan project. Yeah. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Randana Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Randana Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Jagannatha Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jai Jaya Gurudev Harinam Sankirtan ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai Gurudev ki jai. Yeah, let's begin with this prayer. Let's begin with this prayer. Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurum Mitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sagana Raghunatam Tam Tam Swajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Bhagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Tamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritva Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayudhirave Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiti Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namah Pankajanabhaya Namah Pankajamalini Namah Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangrehe Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Namo Brahmana Devaya Gobrahmanitaya cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Padacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschata Desatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Paramanandamadan Sri Chaitanya Swaram Tattva Parva Stangato Yatmane Sankarisya Vishnu Vishnu. Yeah, I thank you everyone for joining this Sunday Bhagavatam discussion. Today will be, today I'm just sharing my screen. Today we will be discussing again on the same topic which yesterday Subhara Prabhuji has discussed actually. So the chapter 18, first canto, chapter 18, Maharaj Parikshit cursed by the Brahmana boy. Okay, so it was decided to read this again, since the chapter is very important, and since Lilananda Prabhuji, Praveen Prabhuji wanted us to go through the purpose of Srila Prabhupada as well. Because of the time constraint, we could not complete yesterday. Shivara Prabhuji has completed some of the purpose, Srila Prabhupada's purpose, but the last, some of them we could not cover because of the time and all, but more he has given the overview of the last purpose. But since it's important to read the Srila Prabhupada purport, so we'll be covering this. And since this is important chapter for us, so we'll be reading this. And I can see many videos on this chapter, 18th chapter. There are almost 25 to 30 lessons to be learned. Okay, 25 to 30 lessons can be learned from this chapter. So there are many videos like Radhesham Prabhuji has, and Madan Gopal Prabhuji, they have discussed elaborately on these topics. So they felt that there are many things to be learned, and this was recognized by Praveen Prabhuji. So though it was given, last verses was given some overview, but we'll read through the purpose and all. So we'll enter into this topic of Maharaj Parikshit cursed by the Brahmana boy. So this was the Brahmana boy, Shringi, cursed Maharaj Parikshit. So Maharaj Parikshit was a king, and he was ruling the whole world, not only India, no, whole world. So he was king for the whole world. So and he was moreover he was a devotee of the Lord. So so Brahmana boy, this Shringi, cursed the Maharaj Parikshit. So we'll start with this. There are actually 4 sections. Let me share that in my PPT. Yeah. I hope you can you see my PPT? Yeah. So majorly there are 4 sections in this actually. So Subhara Prabhuji has covered 1, 2, 3 sections elaborately, and 4th section also yes taken up. So last section is about there are 5 sections. So the 5th section is about inexperienced Shringi versus Saimika Rishi. Can you see my screen? It's PPT.
Yes, Prabhu.
You
Yes,
are seeing the Veda base otherwise.
No, we are seeing PPT, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, I'll just. So Subbarao Prabhuji has covered the 4 sections, right? Like Maharaj Parikshit, birth, death, and dealings with Kali. Eagerness of the sages to hear Krishna Katha. Okay. And Sutta Goswami expresses humility and glorifies Krishna. And Parikshit becomes angry at Saimika Rishi for improper reception. And the 5th section is inexperienced Sringi curses Saimika Rishi. And Saimika Rishi regrets and prays for him. Parikshit becomes angry at Saimika Rishi. For improper reception. So till 4th section it was covered. So Parikshit Maharaj enters into the hermitage of Saimika Rishi. So Parikshit Maharaj felt that he was not properly received by this rishi. He was in meditation, deep meditation, and Parikshit Maharaj was not received by the Saimika Rishi and all. So actually Parikshit Maharaj was very thirsty, and he enters into this hermitage to quench his thirst, but he felt that he was not properly received and all. Saimika Rishi could not receive him because he was in meditation and all. So that was the improper reception. It is being mentioned over here. Okay. So after this, he took a dead snake and he tried to garland Saimika Rishi with that dead snake. Okay. So hearing this, the inexperienced or uncultured Saimika Rishi's son, Shringi, cursed the Parikshit Maharaj. He was a Brahmana boy and he cursed the Parikshit Maharaj. And later on, from other verses, it starts with 32 to 50. Later on, the Saimika Rishi, his father, understand the nature of his son, or what the mistake the son has done, and he regrets and prays for it. So this is what the overview. So Sringi, so 33 to 35 generally Sringi's proud words, right? Sringi's proud words, like though Parikshit Maharaj was a king of the whole world, but Sringi used the word dog to address the Parikshit Maharaj. We'll go elaborately verse by verse. So he addresses a dog because Kshatriyas are protectors of the state. So Parikshit Maharaj was a Kshatriya and was a king. So he was a protector of the state. So he compared Parikshit Maharaj to the dog. So this was kind of the proud words being used by this Sringi. Then later on, 36 to 37, Sringi curses Maharaj Parikshit. Okay, so he comes to know that the Parikshit Maharaj garlanded his father, Saimika Rishi, with the dead snake. So he came to know about this. So he curses in front of his friends, other friends. So this Brahman boy came to know about this and he curses the Maharaj Parikshit actually. So let's go on. Let's read the purports and discuss later on this. And then Sringi approaches his father. Later on, after cursing, then Sringi comes to his hermitage, father's hermitage, and he approaches his father. Then Saimika Rishi can understand what was done by his son, and he regrets for the curse actually. So after due to this curse, So due to this curse, the monarch, abolishing monarch, results of the abolishing monarch has been done. In the sense, the Parikshit Maharaj was a devotee of the Lord, and he had the qualities of the Lord, great qualities of the Lord, and he was ruling whole world, right? So devotee of Lord exactly knows knows everything actually, what Lord wanted and what is the purpose and how to rule the kingdom, and majorly he rules the state by the principles, like like they know the principles, like respecting the Brahmanas, right, and respecting Brahmanas cows, right, and also to give the state God consciousness. These are the three important principles which uh, which a ruler of the state or the king of the particular dynasty should have these qualities. So results of abolishing monarchy. So after cursing Parikshit Maharaj, what did it result to? So that has been explained from 43rd to 45th verse. Then the last part of the 46 to 50 verse, Samikri Rishi prays for his son and the qualities of a devotee has been explained here. So Samikri Rishi is also a devotee of the Lord, but he is kind of a mystic devotee, right? So he is not a bhakta, right? He is not like a devotee like Parikshit Maharaj, but he is also a devotee of a Lord, right? He kind of a yogi, right? So he is also a devotee of Lord. That's why a devotee prays for his son. So the Lord forgives because it was being requested and prayed by other devotees and Rishi. So let's go on to the purpose. I'll start with the last section of section 5, right, where the verses start from 32. Okay. So 31 is upon returning, he began to contemplate and argue within himself whether the sage had actually been in meditation with the senses concentrated and eyes closed, or whether he had just been feigning trance just to avoid receiving the lower Kshatriya. Okay. So this is the 31st verse. This is about the translation of the 31st verse. So we'll start with the text 32. Text 32. This. Let's try to read. Read this verse, text 32. Later on, we'll read translation and purport. Let me try to let me try to read this verse. 1 second. Tasya putra titejasvi viharan balokarabhyatha rajanagham pratipitam tatam sutta tatredam abrave. So sorry for reading this verse like this. Yeah. This verse is about the sage had a son who was very powerful, being a Brahmana son. While he was playing with inexperienced boy, he heard of his father's distress, which was occasioned by the king. Then and there the boy spoke as follows. So the Brahmana boy came to know about garlanding, for Parikshit Maharaj garlanding this Saimika Rishi, his father, right? So he started to react like this actually. So purport, due to Maharaj Parikshit's good government, even a boy of tender age who was playing with other inexperienced boy could become as powerful as a qualified Brahmana. This boy was known as Sringi, and he achieved good training in brahmacharya by his father, so that he could be powerful as a brahmana, even in that age. But because of the age of Kali, was seeking an opportunity to spoil the cultural heritage of four orders of the life. The inexperienced boy gave a chance for the age of Kali to enter into the field of Vedic culture. Hatred of lower orders of life began from this Brahmana boy under the influence of Kali, and thus cultural life began to dwindle day after day. The first victim of Brahminical injustice was Maharaj Parikshit, and thus the protection given by the king against the onslaught of Kali was slackened. So, how beautifully the Prabhupada writes the purport actually. Prabhupada writes here very nicely that that Parikshit Maharaj was a king of the whole world. He could conquer Kali, right? He could conquer Kali, but the but because of uncultured Brahminical culture, so the Shringi was a Brahmana, and he was given nice training of a Brahmana. But due to unculture, right? Unculture, he had cursed the king like Parikshit Maharaj, who is a devotee of the Lord and who was ruling whole world. So Brahmanas are considered to be highest caste in the caste system. Considered to be the highest, and when he cursed the Kshatriya, that is what being explained here by the Prabhupada. So so when he cursed due to unculturedness, when he cursed the pious king or the devotee of the Lord, Parikshit Maharaj, right? So at that time, the Kali has begun actually. Right? Till that time, Parikshit Maharaj did not give any chance or any chance to Kali to enter and all. But due to unculturedness, so all the caste system, right? All varnashna system, varna ashrama, varnas. We are talking about varnas. So all the varnas try to was spoiled actually due to, and it was started by this Brahmana boy. So all the caste system, Prabhupada is explaining, was spoiled, right? Was spoiled, and it was started with this Brahmana by Shingi. And the first person to be affected, or first person to be for this injustice was done to Maharaj Parikshit. So this was being explained by Srila Prabhupada very nicely, right? So yeah. So that is what, yeah. I think, yeah, we can go to the next section. So this Brahmana boy was uncultured. This is important word actually being used by Prabhupada. Let's move on to 33rd. Okay. Can anybody read the translation, please? If you can see translation of 33. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, are you sharing the screen, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Let me do it again, Prabhuji.
I'm not seeing that.
I think you are seeing the same screen. Can you see now, Prabhuji?
Now we can see.
Prabhuji.
Can you please read? Sorry, Prabhuji. Can you, somebody?
Mataji, go ahead, Mataji. Mataji wants to.
Okay. The Brahmana's son, Ringi, said, "Oh, just look at the sins of the rulers who, like crows and watchdogs at the door, perpetrate sins against their masters, contrary to the principles governing servants." Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you. So here the Sringi is comparing Parikshit Maharaj with crows and watchdogs. Dogs because the dogs always protect, or they generally protect the master and the particular house and all. So he's comparing this king. Actually, they are watchdogs of the state. Actually, crows and watchdogs of the state, right? So Kshatriyas are ruling the kingdom or the dynasty, and they are considered to be watchdogs. That is what. Though they are actually they are watchdogs, that should not have been spelled out actually. So that is the uncultured thing that this Brahmana boy has been done actually. So so that should not have been spelled out. So uncultured is saying something, or say are calling somebody who is disrespectful, right? So that is what uncultured thing done by this Brahmana boy. So let's read this purport quickly. Yeah. Anybody can read this purport, please.
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. I'm ready, Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Brahmanas are considered to be the head and brains of the social body, and the Kshatriyas are considered to be the arms of the social body. The arms are required to protect the body from all harm, but the arms must act according to the directions of the head and brain. That is a natural arrangement made by the Supreme Order, for it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that 4 social orders are castes, namely the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras are set up according to quality and work done by them. Naturally, the son of a Brahmana has a good chance to become a Brahmana by the direction of his qualified father. As a qualified father, as a son of a medical practitioner, has a very good chance to become a qualified medical practitioner. So the caste system is quite scientific. The son must take advantage of the father's qualification and thus become a Brahmana or medical practitioner, and not otherwise. Without being qualified, one cannot become a Brahmana or a medical practitioner. And that is the Vedic of all scriptures and social orders. Herein, Shringi, a qualified son of a great Brahmana, attained the required Brahminical power, both by birth and by training. But he was lacking in culture because he was an inexperienced boy. By the influence of Kali, the son of a Brahmana became puffed up with Brahminical power and thus wrongly compared Maharaja Parikshit to crows and watchdogs. The king is certainly the watchdog of the state in the sense that he keeps vigilant eyes over the border of the state for its protection and defense. But to address him as a watchdog is the sign of a less cultured boy. Thus, the downfall of the Brahminical powers began as they gave importance to birthright without culture. The downfall of the Brahmana caste began in the age of Kali. And since Brahmanas are the heads of the social order, all other orders of society also began to deteriorate. This beginning of a Brahminical deterioration was highly deplored by the father of Shringi, as we will find. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So here Prabhupada clearly explains that Singhi was a Brahmana by birth and is also training, but still he was uncultured. Uncultured. Why is saying uncultured? Culture means giving respect. Actually, talking properly, right? Talking properly, like giving respect to the others is considered to be culture. So Brahmana such should have this quality, right? Should have this quality. If we do not have culture, though if we are born in the family of Brahmana, then also then if we are uncultured, then it's not. If Brahmanas knows all kind of Vedas or whatever, if they can pronounce or they can read the verses, right? everything properly, but if they are uncultured, if they are disrespectful, or they do not know how to speak to others, then uncultured, that is what uncultured means. So then they are not a kind of proper Brahmana. Here the thing this thing he did is he compared the Maharaj Parikshit to the crows and watchdogs. Though profession of the king was to protect the order, protect the border, and also the citizens of the kingdom. But though he spelled out that he spelled out he said that they are watchdogs and all, right? So that is what so, and here the Prabhupada clearly explains. So the start of Kali, right? Fall down of Brahmanas, right? Fall down of all the Varnas started from here, because the higher section of Brahmana, when he was disrespectful for the lower section of Kshatriyas, so Brahmana, because of the culture, so Brahmanas fell down from that state. So Kali started, and Brahmana, there is a disturbance in the these Varnas and all, and it started with Shringi. It started with Shringi, and the first person was affected was the Kshatriya was Parikshit Maharaj. Okay. Let's see some of the important points. It's 1 second. I'm sharing that again. So this is what being explained. So yeah. So hatred for the lower orders or downfall of higher Brahmana caste system began when the importance was given to birthright without culture, or lacking in culture due to inexperience. So justifying a wrong act and clarifying or explaining in an uncultured, imminent manner. So here we can understand that the culture culture is nothing but a dealing behavior, respect, how to speak and all. So there one example is given is Sanatana Goswami was once discussing Bhagavatam with others and all, with other Goswamis and others and all. So it so happened that King just a second. So King Nawazuddin Shah entered into that place where Sanatana Goswami was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam with the others and all. So Sanatana Goswami stood up and respected Nawazuddin Shah since he was a king, right? So in the same way, right? Though Nawazuddin Shah is a meat eater, is a malicha, Sanatana Goswami respected him because he was a king and all. So that kind of respect was not given by Shringi, right, to Parikshit Maharaj and all. So here the respect he was not respectful with the words and all, right? He was comparing with the crows and dogs and all. So its leaders has the great responsibility, right? Leaders has the great responsibility. When one leader is good with feels that he is responsible, right? Feels he is responsible, then all the other people will follow him actually. So that is what. For example, a husband is considered as a head of the family, right? When a husband takes up Krishna consciousness, right? When a husband is considered to the head of the family, and the majority of the decisions of the taken by the husband and all. So when a husband follows the Krishna consciousness, the whole the family take up the Krishna consciousness nicely and all. Okay, that is the example that is given actually. And when a head follows responsibly, everybody follows actually. For example, if a head of the temple or head of the temple is not attending the morning programs, right? If he is not attending the morning programs, sleeping in his sleeping, then other people who also try to sleep and all, they'll follow the head and all. So that is what. So Krishna. So there could be only two things. We could be the agent of the Krishna and the Kali's agent. Here we can understand that Brahmana boy was a Kali agent now, right? Krishna as agent was Parikshit Maharaj, right? Only thing was he was thirsty, right? He was thirsty and he wants to quench his thirst, but the response given by this Brahmana boy was not proper, was improper, right? So that is what. So let's go to the verse 34. Yeah, anybody can read out this verse 34 translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can read.
Yes.
I can't see your screen, Prabhu. I think we lost the sharing.
All right, Krishna, sorry. 1 second.
Hare Krishna, I can see.
Yeah. Can you see 34? Yeah, translation.
Yes, Prabhuji, I can see.
Yes, Prabhu, go ahead.
Okay, translation. The descendants of the kingly orders are definitely designated as watchdogs and they must be kept themselves at the door. On what grounds can dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master on the same plate? Purport. The inexperienced Brahmana boy certainly knew that the king asked for water from his father. The father did not respond. He tried to explain away his father's inhospitality in an impertinent manner by befitting an uncultured boy. He was not at all sorry for the king's not being well received. On the contrary, he justified the wrong act in a way characteristic of Brahmanas of Kali Yuga. Compared the king to a watchdog, and so it was wrong for the king to enter the home of a Brahmana and ask for water from the same pot. The dog is certainly reared by its master, but that does not mean the dog shall claim to dine and drink in the same pot. This mentality of false prestige is the cause of downfall of this perfect social order. And we can see that in the beginning, it was started by the inexperienced son of a Brahmana, as the dog is never allowed to enter within the room and hearth, although it is reared by the master. Similarly, according to Shringi, the king had no right to enter the house of Shamika Rishi. According to the boy's opinion, the king was on the wrong side and not his father, and thus he justified his silent father. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So here, Srila Prabhupada is writing that the downfall of social order, varnas, all the 4 varnas has been disturbed, right? We now talk about, right? The Brahmanas are not Brahmanas, Kshatriyas are not. So all this social order or varnas has been disturbed. The start was happened with Shringi and all. So the inexperience, here the Prabhupada used the inexperience because of the culture, he has done this actually. Okay, so this is what. So master here, the Brahmanas are considered to be masters, and the watchdogs are he is considering the Parikshit Maharaj as a watchdog and all. Let's quickly. So, yeah. See, we can understand that there is a policy, right? There is a policy, but if the policy is misapplied, then people consider the policy itself as a bad. Okay. So now we can also experience this. Though the caste system was rightly designed, right? Rightly designed by the Lord actually to actually the Varnashrama was designed by the Lord so that we can take up the God consciousness and come back to go back to Him actually. So the Varnashrama was designed to naturally to practice the God consciousness, right? And Krishna designed that because he wanted his children to come back to Him. So, but since now if we see the system now, we feel that caste system is bad, but it is because of our unculturedness. We feel that, right? For example, any temple, right? In Shri Radha Gopinath Temple, Mumbai, or even Hyderabad, I believe, the prasadam coupons will be given, right? Coupons will be given for those who are attending Srimad Bhagavatam and all. Okay, the intention of giving this prasadam coupon is that one who attends the Srimad Bhagavatam, they should actually fed with this prasadam and all. But those who are not attending, coming on the last, they should not be given prasadam and all. They will be given the prasadam, but the importance are the first priority is given to the person who attends the Srimad Bhagavatam and all. So this policy is good actually, but if somebody try to misapply it, right? If somebody misapply this policy, then it's bad actually. For example, if somebody talks disrespectfully to others, if they don't have any coupon and all, right? Instead of giving the prasadam, if somebody disrespects others, other devotees, in the absence of the coupon, then that means that the policy is right, but the intention of that devotee is wrong and all. So this example we can relate actually. So, and moreover, here not only that Sringi is not only thinking that Parikshit Maharaj is wrong, but also is one-sided way. Okay, he has never he put a dead snake on my father. Okay, on my father. So that's why I'm cursing. So he's not able to understand the other's point and all. So he's one-sided actually. So Lord's policy was to design this Varnashrama, right? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Sudras, so that this policy is designed so that we can go back to Godhead. We can follow or we can practice Krishna consciousness, right? Krishna consciousness and go back to Godhead. But policy is good, but it has been ruined because of the culture, uncultured things and all. So that is what is happening in the Kali and all. So that is what we have to understand. Let's move on to 35. I'm sharing the screen again quickly. Yeah, can anybody read the verse 35 translation and purpose? After the departure of
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, madam.
After the departure of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead and supreme ruler of everyone, these upstarts have flourished, our protector being gone. Therefore, I myself shall take up this matter and punish them. Just witness my power.
Yeah.
Purport also, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Purport. The inexperienced Brahmana, puffed up by a little Brahma Tejas, became influenced by the spell of Kali Yuga. Maharaja Parikshit gave license to Kali to live in 4 places as mentioned herein before. But by his very expert government, the personality of Kali could hardly find the places allotted to him. The personality of Kali Yuga therefore was seeking the opportunity to establish authority, and by the grace of the Lord, he found a hole in the puffed up, inexperienced son of a Brahmana. The little Brahmana wanted to show his prowess in destruction. and he had the audacity to punish such a great king as Maharaja Parikshit. He wanted to take the place of Lord Krishna after his departure. These are the principal signs of upstarts who want to take the place of Sri Krishna under the influence of the age of Kali. An upstart with a little power wants to become an incarnation of the Lord. There are many false incarnations after the departure of Lord Krishna from the face of the globe, and they are misleading the innocent public by accepting the spiritual obedience of the general mass of people to maintain false prestige. In other words, the personality of Kali got the opportunity to reign through his son of a Brahmana, Shringi. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Shri Mataji. Yeah, here Prabhupada is writing very beautifully that Kali was given some of the places to stay, and what Shringi with this Shringi, since he was uncultured and all, so he was a Brahmana and he was uncultured, and so it started from there. So all the degradation of the Varnas, right, was started from there. Okay, so he just cursed the devotee of the Lord. Very good devotee of Lord. Parikshit Maharaj was a devotee of Lord. He has seen Krishna in the womb of Uttara, right? So he is a devotee of the Lord. So he punished, he cursed such a devotee and all, right? So that is what. So so here Prabhupada explains very nicely. So not only that, not only that, right? So our values also are tested, right? So we have to actually we have to behave in a civilized way, right? If you try to be uncultured, then that would be our fall down. Okay, in the name of defending, actually, in the name of defending ISKCON, many devotees sometimes talk harshly to other devotees and offend, right? That should not be done, right? So they say that this should be, Prabhupada wanted this to be done in this way, right? They say that and try to justify themselves, actually, but they try to justify and try to defend themselves, justify and try to defend themselves, right? But in this by this, what happens? Other devotees will be affected and all. So we should be very careful with our words. We should be very civilized, and we should not be not deal with. We should not be uncultured and all. So this example of Shringi, we should always remember, right? So we should be careful with all the devotees and all. So that is what. So we move on to the next verse, 36 quickly. Yeah, anybody can read out the 36.
Hare Krishna, I can read, Prabhu.
Yes.
Translation: The son of the Rishi, his eyes red hot with anger, touched the water of the river Kaushika while speaking to his playmates and discharged the following thunderbolt of words. Purport: The circumstances under which Maharaj Parikshit was cursed was simply childish. As it appears from this verse, Shringi was showing the impudency among his playmates who were innocent. Any sane man would have prevented him from doing such great harm to all human society. By killing a king like Maharaj Parikshit just to make a show of acquired Brahmanical power, the inexperienced son of a Brahmana committed a great mistake.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Once again. Yeah, here Prabhupada is writing the sane man. So sane man is the Samika Rishi was a sane man, right? He was sane man, and he would have protected this, actually, if he has come to heritage and try to find out and what has happened. So Samika Rishi would have stopped his son from doing that act, or he would have stopped his son from cursing Parikshit Maharaj and all. So what happened? This person, this Shringi wanted to show off or exhibit his powers and all before his friends and all. So when he came to know about this friends, right? He cursed Maharaj Parikshit there itself. So he wants to show off his Brahmanical powers. Okay, so that is what one. And one more thing here, Prabhupada is trying to tell us, right? So Maharaj, Shringi did not approach anybody actually. Yeah, he has taken this decision by himself. He did not approach anybody um, uh, because his friends, he wanted to take this decision. His friends were innocent and they could not guide him properly and all. So his friends are considered to be insane and all, right? And on the other side, the same person like Samika Rishi, if he have gone to his father, then he could have understand and he could not have cursed actually. So that is what. So it's important actually to consult actually before acting anything, right? We need to consult. We need to consult that we cannot take decisions or we cannot behave whimsically and all, right? So here showing prudence among his claimant, which who was innocent. So they are actually not in a position to guide him. So he should have gone to his father or any superior for the help actually, but he has not taken this matter, and he has not taken this matter to anybody, and so he's taken own decision and all. So Shringi did not consult anybody, right? So that is what. So this is the great mistake, right? This is the great mistake. So the great mistake done by this Shringi and all. But here we have to understand here, but this was the will of the Lord also. He wanted the Parikshit Maharaj to wind up. So he wanted Parikshit Maharaj was a devotee of the Lord. He wanted him to wind up and come back to Godhead, go back to Godhead and all. So this was a mistake. The mistake of Shringi, but it was rightly taken by the Parikshit Maharaj and all, and it was a plan of the Lord or the will of the Lord. That is what we have to understand. So one thing what we can understand is here is the Shringi could have alternatively could have gone to hermitage and he could have removed the dead snake and inquired from his father, right? Anyway, that was a dead snake. You could have gone to hermitage, you could have removed the garlanded dead snake from his father's neck, and he could have consulted or discussed with his father. He could not have done this, such a blunder actually. But rather doing that, what he has done, he has just tried to show his power, right? He has not consulted. His friends were innocent, they were not in a position to guide him. So he just shown his power, right? One example, good example, Radhesham Prabhuji gives actually. One of the devotee, it seems one of the devotee who was very upset with other devotee. So he came one day to Radhesham Prabhuji and he told that I'm upset with this particular devotee and I'm thinking of not talking to him till my last breath. So that is what he told Radhesham Prabhuji. So, he didn't stop there, but he said, I wanted to find out from you. I wanted to find out from you. Shall I do this? So Radhesham Prabhuji could understand this devotee, and he also knows the other devotee he's talking about. So he spoke to both of them, both the devotees, and within 1 month, both the devotees became friends and became friends again, and they could relish kirtans, they could dance in the kirtans and all. So they could participate together and all. So this devotee, what what he has done is he has consulted. He has consulted the other devotee, or he has consulted his counselor, or who you think that this problem can be shared. But whereas the Shringi didn't even consult his father or any superior actually. If he were consulted, he would have not have done this great mistake towards a devotee of the Lord. Okay, so we have to reach out to superiors, and consult them, right? So that our problem is sorted out and all, right? So that is the thing we have to do. So let's move on to the next purport and next verse and purport quickly. 37. Anybody can read this purport for 37, translation and purport?
Shall I, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Translation. The Brahmana's son cursed the king thus: on the seventh day from today, a snake bird will bite the most wretched one of the dynasty, Maharaja Parikshit, because of his having broken the laws of etiquette by insulting my father. Purport. Thus, the beginning of the misuse of Brahminical power began, and gradually the Brahmanas in the age of Kali became devoid of both Brahminical powers and culture. The Brahmana boy considered Maharaja Parikshit to be Kulangara, or the wretched of the dynasty. But factually, the Brahmana boy himself was so because only from he did the Brahmana caste become powerless, like the snake whose poison teeth are broken. The snake is fearful as long as his poison teeth are there. Otherwise, he is fearful only to children. The personality of Kali conquered the Brahmana boy first and gradually the other castes. Thus, the whole scientific system of the orders of society in this age has assumed the form of a vitiated caste system, which is now being uprooted by another class of men, similarly influenced by age of Kali. One should see the root cause of vitiation and not try to condemn the system as it is without knowledge of its scientific value. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So here, suppose this is what we already discussed. So this is what the Prabhupada is trying to clearly explain us, right? He has given the example of the snake. So the iteration of other caste system started. That is what, and the whole scientific system of varnas, which God has designed, right, was deteriorated with this act of this Brahmana. So it was uprooted. So one higher caste, right? Higher caste is in cursed the lower caste and all. So it started everything. The caste system, varnas, got disturbed by this. Okay. So this is what happened because of the influence of Kali. All the order caste order system has been disturbed. Right. That is what Prabhupada is trying to explain here. Okay. Let's move to 38. Yeah. Can anybody read this 38?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Please.
Translation. Thereafter, when the boy returned to the hermitage, he saw a snake on his father's shoulder, and out of his grief, he cried very loudly. Purport: the boy was not happy because he committed a great mistake, and he wanted to be relieved of the burden on his heart by crying. So after entering the hermitage and seeing his father in that condition, he cried loudly so that he might be relieved. But it was too late. The father regretted the whole incident. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So you can understand from this that he came to a hermitage and he cried loudly. When he cried loudly, his father began to open his eyes. And after opening his eyes, he removed the dust stain from his body, and he could understand what great sin he has committed. Father could understand, he himself could understand what great sin he has committed, right? Great sin against for the Maharaj, against Maharaj Parikshit and all, right? That he could understand, right? So that is what. Let's see. So yeah, so that is what we can understand from this. So all the Varnashrama was disturbed actually. Varnashrama Dharma, Varna, mainly Varna was disturbed by this, and root cause of this we can understand. And also we have to understand we should not commit any blunders, right? Blunders and repent it later on. So we should be always alert and not. So anything like a bow left, such like arrow left from the bow, right? Any spilled milk, any milk spilled on the floor, or arrow left from the bow, or the curse also when it is already when it is curse, when we do curse also, it cannot be taken back. So it will be too late otherwise, right? So it should be properly respond. We should not act in an uncultured way. So the response or reaction should not be an uncultured way and all. Okay, that we have to understand. Let's go back. Let's go to 39th verse. Yeah, let's read out the 39th verse. Yeah, anybody can go ahead quickly. 39 translation. Okay.
I will, Prabhu. Translation. O Brahmanas, the Rishi who was born in the family of Angira Muni, hearing his son crying, gradually opened his eyes and saw the dead snake around his neck. Next.
Yeah, we have already discussed this. Can you read out 40 also, Prabhuji? Translation.
Sure, Prabhu. Translation. He threw the dead snake aside and asked his son why he was crying, whether anyone had done him harm. On hearing this, the son explained to him what had happened. Purport. The father did not take the dead snake on his neck very seriously. He simply threw it away. Actually, there was nothing seriously wrong in Maharaja Parikshit's act, but the foolish son took it very seriously, and being influenced by Kali, he cursed the king and thus ended a chapter of happy history.
Yeah. Prabhupada is nicely writing, ended the chapter of happy history, right? See, Maharaj Parikshit was anyway a devotee of the Lord, right? He would have gone back home to Godhead without this act, without this also. See, we can understand that that Maharaj Parikshit, who conquered Kali, he was a king of the whole world. He could conquer the Kali also, right? He ruled the kingdom for many years, many thousands of years, and he could conquer the Kali. But the time has come like that, right? So that even the material problem like thirst, right? Material problem like thirst seems to be big actually. He could not quench his thirst, and he has to go to hermitage for the water and all. So we should understand this was the will of the Lord, right? Because Srimad Bhagavatam was required to be spoken, right? It was required to be spoken for our Kali, for us actually, for the people of Kali, right? So it was a plan of the Lord. So how to advent of the Bhagavatam has to happen, right? So Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna, right? Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna because he was in distress, right? He wanted that. He wanted so Krishna could view our Bhagavad Gita could come because he was in distress and he wanted that, right? So otherwise the Bhagavad Gita would not have come, right? So that in that situation Arjuna was put into that situation by the Lord, so that we could get the Bhagavad Gita, right? We could get our Kali Yuga people could get the Bhagavad Gita and all, right? So that was the plan of God. Similarly, the Bhagavatam was sorry, yeah. Similarly, Bhagavatam was to be given to the people of Kali, right? Krishna left back to his abode, right? And he wanted to deliver the peoples of Kali. So he wanted to give Bhagavatam. So he has used his devotees, right? His devotees. That was the plan of the Lord. Otherwise, what a quench of thirst would do for such a great king like Parikshit Maharaj and all. So situation was created, right? Situation was created, and this King Maharaj Parikshit, Saimika Rishi, and even Shringi, all worked, or they acted according to the will of the Lord and all. So that was the plan of the Lord to give Srimad Bhagavatam and all. So later on, after this, right? After this, the Parikshit Maharaj, he was already devotee of Lord. He wanted to do the bhakti, right? He wanted to hear Shravanam from the Rishi. He wanted to hear for the last 7 days and all. He want to hear about the pastimes of the Lord, right? So that's the way the Bhagavatam came into being and all, right? So you could have heard from the Bhagavatam and all. So this was the plan of the Lord, that we can understand. Let's go on. Let's move. Let's move on to next one quickly. Yeah. 41. Yeah. Translation. The father heard from his son that king had been cursed, although he should never have been condemned, for he was the best among all living beings. The Rishi did not congratulate his son, but on the contrary, he began to repent, saying, "Alas, what a great sinful act was performed by my son. He was awarded heavy punishment for an insignificant offense." So here the Samika Rishi is, I have understood what mistake his son has committed, right? For a small mistake, he has given a big punishment. That is what you should understand, right? Anybody can read the purport quickly? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Purport. The king is the best of all human beings. He is the representative of God, and he is never to be condemned for any of his actions. In other words, the king can do no wrong. The king may order hanging of a culprit son of Brahmana, but he does not become sinful for killing a Brahmana. Even if there is something wrong with the king, he is never to be condemned. A medical practitioner may kill a patient by mistaken treatment, but such killer is never condemned to death. So what to speak of a good and pious king like Maharaj Parikshit? In the Vedic way of life, the king is trained to become a Rajarshi or a great saint, although he is ruling as king. It is the king only by whose good governance the citizens can live peacefully and without any fear. The Rajarshis would manage their kingdom so nicely and piously that their subject would respect them as if they were the Lord. That is the instruction of the Vedas. The king is called Narendra, or best among the human beings. How then could a king like Maharaj Parikshit be condemned by an inexperienced, puffed up son of a Brahmana, even though he had attained the powers of a qualified Brahmana? Since Samik Rishi was an inexperienced good Brahmana, he did not approve the actions of his condemned son. He began to lament for all that his son has done. The king was beyond the jurisdiction of curses as a general rule, and what to speak of a good king like Maharaj Parikshit. The offense of the king was most insignificant, and his being condemned to death was certainly a very great sin for Shringi. Therefore, Rishi Samika regretted the whole incident.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, here Prabhupada nicely gives example for the small act right? For the small mistake, he should not have cursed, should not have cursed actually for the death actually. And Prabhupada gives the example of medical practitioner, right? Who gives some medicine and not knowingly, if that patient dies also, right? That medical practitioner will be they'll try to give some financial this thing, right? They'll try to for that medical practitioner, they have to give some finance, right? He has to give that he cannot be hanged. That medical practitioner cannot be hanged, but he has to pay some kind of what we say as a penalty and all, right? As a penalty, he should pay to that patient, but because he has because of giving some wrong medicine, he cannot be punished or he cannot be hanged, right? But he can be given some kind of punishment, right? They can collect some penalty to this towards this patient and all, right? So that can be done. But here, he has given for such a pious king, right? For a small thing, this Sringi has punished as a life and all, right? So that is what Prabhupada clearly gives the example of this. Let's move on to other verses quickly. One second. Yeah, quickly we'll do next. We have some time. 42. Translation. Oh, my boy, your intelligence is immature, and therefore you have no knowledge that the king, who is the best among the human beings, is good as a personality of Godhead. Is as good as personality of Godhead. He is never to be placed on an equal footing with the common man. The citizens of the state live in prosperity, being protected by unsurpassable prowess. Here clearly, Samika Rishi is explaining the prowess of the king, right? About the qualities of this Maharaj Parikshit and all, right? Because when he was there were a lot of prosperity in the kingdom, right? Because of his prowess, right? So all these citizens were living happily and all, right? So and he was very pious and the best among the human beings, right? So that is what being explained. So he clearly says that his son is immature, right? His intelligence is immature and all. So with his immaturity, he has done so much of blunder, right? That is what is being explained. Let's go on to next 43. Yeah, my dear boy, the Lord who carries the wheel of chariot is represented by monarchical rhyme. And when this rhyme is abolished, the whole world becomes filled with the thieves, who then at once vanish the unprotected subjects like scattered lambs. Okay. Purport. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, the monarchical rhyme represents the Supreme Lord. The personality of Godhead, the king, is said to be representative of absolute personality of Godhead, because he is trained to acquire the qualities of the God, protect the living beings. The battle of Kurukshetra was planned by the Lord to establish the real representative of the Lord, Maharaj Yudhishthira. An ideal king, thoroughly trained by the culture and devotional service with material spirit, and makes the perfect king. But a personal monarch is far better than so-called democracy, and so training and responsibility. The thieves and rogues of the modern democracy seeks elections by misrepresentation of votes, and the successful rogues and thieves devour the mass population. One trained monarch is far better than hundreds of useless ministerial rogues, and it is hinted here that by abolition of monarchical rhyme, like that of Maharaj Parikshit, the mass of the people became open to many attacks of the age of Kali. They are never happy in the they are never happy in an overally advertised form of democracy. The result of such a kingless administration is described in the following verses. So here Prabhupada clearly tells about how great the king is, monarchical rhyme. The devotee of the Lord. See, Parikshit Maharaj was a devotee of the Lord. That's why he could understand what Lord wants it, and he could act exactly according to the plan of the Lord, because a devotee has all the qualities of the Supreme Lord, right? The devotee, what we call Anu, right? Anu, right? Atma, Paramatma. So all the Atmas will have certain qualities, right? Qualities of the Lord, but they are not equal in the quantity, but they have the qualities of the Lord. So he could understand the will of the Lord. They could understand the plan of the Lord, and they could work actually, right? So this is what been said. But now we can see a lot of in our democracy, right? In our politics, you can see people they are not actually competent actually to rule. But this all began because cursing of the Parikshit Maharaj, right? So everything got started there, and there was because of this culture or whatever it may be, because of the uncultured Brahmanas or other caste systems. The Varnashrama system has been broken, and this monarchical rhyme and other people entered into the politics. They could not rule properly and all. So everything got chaos, right? Everything became confusion. And let's move on to 44. Yeah, anybody can read the translation and purport of 44, please. Hare Krishna.
Can I read?
Krishna.
Yeah.
Translation. Due to the termination of the monarchical regimes and the plundering of the people's wealth by rogues and thieves, there will be great social disruptions. People will be killed and injured, and animals and women will be stolen. And for all these sins, we shall be responsible. Purport. The word na, we, is very significant in this verse. The sage rightly takes the responsibility of the Brahmanas as a community for killing monarchical government, and thus giving an opportunity to the so-called democrats, who are generally plunderers of the wealth of the state subjects. The so-called democrats capture the administrative machine without assuming responsibility for the prosperous conditions of the citizen. Everyone captures the post for personal gratification, and thus, instead of one king, there are a number of responsible kings who grow up to tax the citizens. It is foretold herein that in absence of good monarchical government, everyone will be the cause of disturbance for others by plundering riches, animals, women, etc. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, we can understand. We can see this all now, right? See here, here the sages are. See first, Parikshit Maharaj has heard this Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukdev Goswami, right? Now the sages are discussing in Naimisharanya, right? In Naimisharanya, right? Sutta Goswami is discussing. So Sutta Goswami heard from the other from the Sukdev Goswami, right? He was in that group of devotees where Parikshit Maharaj was given Srimad Bhagavatam, right? He was told about the pastimes of the Lord, right? To the Parikshit Maharaj, Sutta Goswami was hearing about this, and later on, Sutta Goswami is repeating to other sages and all. So that is what being mentioned. So sages at that time, the sages could understand. They could understand that the everything is broken, and we are responsible for that. So they are taking the responsibility. All right. So they could understand what now the Kali will impact and all. Now we can see, right? We can see now governments, they tax us, right? All the citizens, right? We are taxed left and right, right? We are taxed. Then we go to when we go to hotels or when we pay our bills also, right? We pay our phone bills also. Everywhere we are taxed. Everywhere it has been taxed, double tax, triple tax, right? Already we are salaried, we are taxed, and we have to give service tax again when we go to hotels or something. We have to when we eat, we have to pay tax. When we go to some entertainment places, we have been taxed. So we can see all the government taxing the citizens, right? We can see a lot of unqualified people, right? Unqualified, they are plundering riches. We can see animalistic animals being killed left and right. There is no respect to the women, right? So these all being mentioned. So animals and women will be stolen. So these all being mentioned in the purport and translation. So that all you can see, right? So when the devotee of Lord doesn't rule or doesn't is not in the government, then these all things happen. So animals are there is no protection to the animals. There is no protection to the women, right? So this all the collecting, there is no protection for the rich people, children, right? This all is we can what we read, we can visualize now, right? Yeah, we'll go quickly 45 quickly. Can anybody quickly read 45 purport and translation and purport?
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji, please.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. At that time, the people in general will fall systematically from the path of a progressive civilization in respect to the qualitative engagements of the caste and the orders of society and the Vedic injunctions. Thus, they will be more attracted to economic development for sense gratification. And as a result, there will be an unwanted population on the level of dogs and monkeys. Purport. It is foretold herein that in the absence of a monarchical regime, the general mass of people will be an unwanted population like dogs and monkeys. As the monkeys are too sexually inclined and dogs are shameless in sexual intercourse, the general mass of population born of illegitimate connection will systematically go astray from the Vedic way of good manners and qualitative engagements in the caste and orders of life. The Vedic way of life is the progressive march of the civilization of the Aryans. The Aryans are progressive in Vedic civilization. The Vedic civilization's destination is to go back to Godhead, back home, where there is no birth, no death, no old age, and no disease. The Vedas direct everyone not to remain in the darkness of the material world, but to go towards the light of the spiritual kingdom far beyond the material sky. The qualitative caste system and the orders of life are scientifically planned by the Lord and his representatives, the great rishis. The perfect way of life gives all sorts of instructions in things, both material and spiritual. The Vedic way of life does not allow any man to be like the monkeys and dogs. A degraded civilization of sense gratification and economic development is the byproduct of a godless or kingless government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The people should not therefore begrudge the poor administrations by themselves elect. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, here Prabhupada clearly explains the progress about the civilization. So yeah, civilization is about three things: respecting the Brahmanas, cows, protecting cows, and third thing is God consciousness. So these three are important. Any government or anything should try to practice these things. So that if at all they are they are not acting on these, or they are not working for these three things, then that government is not effective actually. That is what this Veda says, or Vedic injection says. If that three things are not done properly, then the caste and orders of the society, castes are nothing but varnas, orders are ashramas, so everything gets varnas and ashramas, everything gets disturbed. Okay, so though we say that it is an economically developed, right? If these principles are not followed, right? These three principles, right? The Brahmanas, respecting the Brahmanas, protecting the cows, and God consciousness is not followed, then there is, though we can say that economically developed, but we are actually uncivilized. Here the dogs and monkeys being compared, right? Actually, but this Varnashrama is actually built, actually, as we discussed, to go back to it. It was actually it is because when we follow Varnashrama, that means we practice the God consciousness, and that will help to go back to Godhead, actually, back on Godhead. So that is what. So I think that is what is being mentioned here. So, but these people doesn't know, right? These people doesn't know. They doesn't know what is this. They even do not know there is the spiritual worlds and all, right? If you see the modern scientists, right? If you see the modern scientists, they actually try to go to moon, right? They try to go to moon or some other planets and all, but they don't know. There is something called spiritual kingdom also, right? But these Vedic injunctions are, this literature tells us there is a spiritual cry, and the purpose of the life is to go back to Godhead and all, right? So that has been clearly mentioned. So clearly mentioned. So godless society will be there when there is uncivilization. We can quickly go on to 46, Prabhuji. Any fast? We have to read all the 4. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Yeah, I will read out. The Emperor Parikshit is pious king. He is highly celebrated and the first class devotee of the personality of Godhead. He is the saint among royalists, and he has performed many horse sacrifices. When such a king is tired and fatigued, being stricken with hunger and thirst, he does not at all deserve to be cursed. Purport: after explaining the general courts courts relating to royal position and ascertaining that the king can do no wrong and therefore is never condemned, the sage Samhita wanted to say something about Emperor Parikshit specifically, because specific qualification of Maharaj Parikshit is summarized herein. The king, even calculated as a king only, was most celebrated as the ruler who administered the religious principles as a royal order. In the Shastras, the duties of all castes and orders of society are prescribed. All the qualities of the Kshatriya mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita were present in the person of the emperor. He was also a great devotee of the Lord and self-realized soul. Cursing such a king when he was tired and fatigued with hunger and thirst was not all proper. Samika Rishi thus admitted from all sides that the Maharaj Parikshit was cursed most unjustly. Although all the Brahmanas were aloof from the incident, still for the childish action of Brahmana boy, the whole world situation was changed. Thus Rishi Samika, a Brahmana, took responsibility responsibility for all deterioration for the good orders of the world. So here about the characteristics of Parikshit Maharaj is explained here, right? So he was hunger and thirst, but that should not, cursing was most unjustly. That is what here Samika Rishi also thinks. Because of the small thing, he should not curse unjustly. That is what he thinks. So yeah. So because of that, because of his childish action, so the everything started. Kali started to acting in this way. Yeah, anybody can read 47th. Actually, it's important purport. and most of the answers will be answered here.
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, yesterday you were asking some questions. I think you will be answered here.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Translation. Then the Rishi prayed to the all-pervading personality of Godhead to pardon his immature boy, who had no intelligence and who committed the great sin of cursing a person who was completely free from all sins, who was subordinate and who deserved to be protected. Purport. Everyone is responsible for his own action, either pious or sinful. Rishi Shamika could foresee that his son had committed a great sin by cursing Maharaja Parikshit, who deserved to be protected by the Brahmanas, for he was a pious ruler and completely free from all sins because of his being a first-class devotee of the Lord. When an offense is done unto the devotee of the Lord, it is very difficult to overcome the reaction. The Brahmanas, being at the head of the social orders, are meant to give protection to their subordinates and not to curse them. There are occasions when a Brahmana may furiously curse a subordinate Kshatriya or Vaishya, etc. But in the case of Maharaja Parikshit, there were no grounds, as already explained. The foolish boy had done it out of a sheer vanity in being a Brahmana's son, and thus he became liable to be punished by the law of God. The Lord never forgives a person who condemns his pure devotee. Therefore, by cursing a king, the foolish Shringi had committed not only a sin, but also the greatest offense. Therefore, the Rishi could foresee that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead could save his boy from his sinful act. He therefore directly prayed for pardon from the Supreme Lord, who alone can undo a thing which is impossible to change. The appeal was made in the name of a foolish boy who had developed no intelligence at all. A question may be raised herein that since it was the desire of the Lord that Parikshit Maharaja be put into the awkward position so that he might be delivered from material existence, then why was a Brahmana's son made responsible for this offensive act? The answer is that offensive act was performed by a child only so that he could be excused very easily. And thus the prayer of the father was accepted. But if the question is raised why the Brahmana community as a whole was made responsible for allowing Kali into the world affairs, the answer is given in the Varaha Purana that the demons who acted inimically toward the personality of Godhead but were not killed by the Lord were allowed to take birth in the families of Brahmanas to take advantage of the age of Kali. The all-merciful Lord gave them a chance to have their births in the families of pious Brahmanas so that they could progress towards salvation. But the demons, instead of utilizing the good opportunity, misused the Brahminical culture due to being puffed up by vanity in becoming Brahmanas. The typical example is the son of Shamika Rishi, and all the foolish sons of Brahmanas are warned here by not to become a foolish as Shringi and to be always on guard against the demoniac qualities which they had in their previous births. The foolish boy was, of course, excused by the Lord, but others who may not have a father like Shamika Rishi will be put into great difficulty if they misuse the advantages obtained by birth in a Brahmana family. Hare Krishna.
Very good. So you can understand here nicely that Prabhupada is trying to mention that how merciful the Lord is, right? Even if something is, if wanted to kill, if somebody wants, as a demons, he wanted to kill the personality of Godhead also, right? He will be given birth in the Brahmana family in the Kali Yuga, and also so that he can go progress towards the salvation. Okay, so opportunity how is given to such kind of demonic people also. So we can understand from this, right, why the Brahmanas are acting like this in the age of Kali, right? So this all been nicely explained by the Prabhupada, right? So how the curse started, right, and how the other systems got spoiled or ruined by this curse and all. So it is nicely explained. Let's quickly read 48, 49, 50 probably. I'll read 48 or anybody you can take up. We are done in next 5 minutes. Yeah.
I can read, Prabhu. 48.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
Translation: The devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. Purport: Rishi Shamika also knew that Lord does not forgive a person who has committed an offense at the feet of a devotee. The Lord can only give direction to take shelter of the devotee. He thought within himself that if Maharaj Parikshit would counter curse the boy, he might be saved. But he knew that a pure devotee is scholars about worldly advantages or reverses. As such, the devotees are never inclined to counteract personal defamation, curses, negligence, etc. As far as such things are concerned, in personal affairs, the devotees do not care for them. But in case of their being performed against the Lord and his devotees, then the devotees take very strong action. It was a personal affair, and therefore Samika Rishi knew that the king would not take counteraction. Thus, there was no alternative than to place an appeal to the Lord for the immature boy. It is not that only the Brahmanas are powerful enough to award curses or blessings upon the subordinates. A devotee of the Lord, even though he may not be a Brahmana, is more powerful than a Brahmana. But a powerful devotee never misuses the power of for personal benefit. Whatever power the devotee may have is always utilized in service towards the Lord and his devotees only. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So forbearing is the important word here, actually. So devotee, here the Prabhupada clearly nicely explains that devotee, when it comes on the personal level, right? Devotee will never react actually, right? If it is something happens for the other devotees, or if it's something against the Lord or his devotees, then only you will react. But if something happens on his personal level, he doesn't react. Here, Parikshit Maharaj also, he has having so much prowess, right, to counteract this is the curse of Shringi, but he did not react because it was on personal level. But he would have reacted if other devotees and other the Lord has been hurt and all. So since it was a personal affair, he could not react, and that we can understand, right? So and what else? Here it's nicely explained. So whatever the power the devotee may have, it is utilized for the service of the Lord and his devotees, right? So that is what is nicely explained by the Prabhupada. Right? Yeah. See, devotee of the Lord, there is a caste system, but devotee of the Lord is more powerful than Brahmana, right? So Prabhupada writes very nicely this line, that devotee of Lord is more powerful than Brahmana, right? So devotee of the Lord will utilize all his powers actually in services, right? Not for his personal business and all. Right? Let's quickly complete 49 and 50 in quick 2-3 minutes. Yeah. The sage thus regretted the sin committed by his own son. He did not take the insult paid by the king very seriously, right? The whole incident is now cleared up. Maharaj Parikshit garlanding the sage with the dead snake was not at all very serious offense, but simply cursing the king was a serious offense. The serious offense was committed by the foolish child only. Therefore, he deserved to be pardoned by the Supreme Lord, although it was not possible to get free from the self reaction. Maharaj Parikshit, Maharaj Parikshit, 1 second, probably. Yeah. Serious offense was committed by the foolish child only. Therefore, he deserved to be pardoned by the Supreme Lord, although it was not possible to get free from the sinful reactions. Maharaj Parikshit also did not mind the curse offered to him by the foolish Brahmana. On the contrary, he took full advantage of awkward situation by the great will of the Lord. Maharaj Parikshit achieved the highest perfection of life. Though the grace of the Srila Sukdev Goswami. Actually, it was not desire of the Lord, and Maharaj Parikshit, Rishi Saimika and his son Sringi were all instrumental in fulfilling the desire of the Lord. So none of them has put into difficulty because everything was done in relation with the Supreme Lord. So in relation to the Supreme Person. So we can understand this was desire of the Lord. So all are acting. Right, Maharaj Parikshit and Saimika Rishi and his son Sringi, everybody is acting according to the will of the Lord. So that's why it was forgiven. Sringi was forgiven because Sringi was forgiven because of his childish mentality, and the other devotee of the Lord is actually asking for the forgiveness for his son and all. So when a devotee, when the devotee approaches the Lord, right, then the Lord will pardon him and all. So that is what his father Saimika Rishi approached the Lord for his son's mistakes and all. So then that's why the Lord pardoned him and all. So lastly, we'll read out 50 quickly and we'll wrap up. Anybody can read, Prabhuji, Ram Reddy Prabhuji, you can read.
Sure, Prabhu. Yeah, translation. Generally, the transcendentalists, even though engaged by others in the dualities of the material world, are not distressed, nor do they take pleasure in worldly things, for they are transcendentally engaged. Purport. The transcendentalists are the empiric philosophers, the mystics, and the devotees of the Lord. Empiric philosophers aim at the perfection of merging into the being of the Absolute. Mystics aim at perceiving the all-pervading Supersoul. And the devotees of the Lord are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the personality of Godhead. Since Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are different phases of the same transcendence, all these transcendentalists are beyond the three modes of material nature. Material distress and happiness are products of the three modes, and therefore the causes of such material distress and happiness have nothing to do with the transcendentalists. The king was a devotee and the rishi was a mystic. Therefore, both of them were unattached to the accidental incident created by the supreme will. The playful child was an instrument in fulfilling the Lord's will. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, Ram Reddy Prabhuji. You can understand that all work for the as an instrument of Lord. So child was also instrument fulfilling the Lord's will and all, right? So we can understand both of them. The Parikshit Maharaj was also transcendentalist because he was a devotee of the Lord. He was a bhakta, and even the Saimika Rishi was also transcendentalist. He was as mystic, right? But he was a mystic, but he was trying to he was pursuing. I want to see the super soul, right? Super soul everywhere, in all the atoms or everywhere, all pervading. That is what aim at pursuing all pervading super soul. So both of them were transcendentalists. They could understand. Both of them were the devotees of the Lord, and they could understand that the will of the Lord. So all of them became instrumental. All of them became instrumental for the purpose of for the purpose. So Srimad Bhagavatam has to be advented, and Srimad Bhagavatam has to be come, right? So for the people of wanted for the people of Kali Yuga, right? So these all people were instrumental. These whole people were instrumental actually for this, and by this all the Srimad Bhagavatam came into light and all. So that we can understand. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Sorry to keep you to extend for this so much of time. Sorry for that, and I am sorry if I committed any mistake. I didn't start with this. Actually, I was planning to have the 19th chapter, but since it was not covered, so it was being told it was important purpose to be read. So an important chapter also. So that's why we had to do this. Sorry for the delay, and please excuse me for any offenses or mistakes which I have committed during the process of this reading and understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam. And I am thankful, I am really thankful to Lilananda Prabhuji and Praveen Prabhuji and all the devotees for bearing with me and giving this opportunity. Though I'm not qualified actually, but as a service, I'm doing that. But yeah, please forgive me and bless me to do this seva well. And I could not ask in the start of this session, but yeah, please, I think you please forgive me for any mistakes. Yeah, you can discuss if you have any questions, Prabhuji. For a few minutes.
Prabhu, in the comment section, one question posted, Prabhu.
Oh, okay. In 37, why is said that beginning of the issues of Brahmika power has been, sorry, it is covered. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, we all know yesterday Prabhuji was also explaining nicely how Kaliuga, how Kali wants to, how Kaliuga was progressing in that, right? In the sense, the Kali wanted to attack actually. So Parikshit Maharaj was a ruler. Kali wanted some places to stay, right? So Parikshit Maharaj has given some places like gold, right? Gold and other places and all, right? Like meat, these all places, but that are places and all. So Maharaj Parikshit was so powerful ruler. So it was difficult for the Kali actually to progress and all, right? Progress and all. But what happened is because of this, because of the plan of the Lord, and also because of this uncultured behavior of this boy Sringi, right? Sringi, right? And also it was actually the Lord's will, and also that's in the sense Parikshit Maharaj, who could conquer the Kali, right? He could conquer the whole world. He could conquer the Kali, right? Such kind of powerful person is affected by the thirst, right? He is longing for some material desire, right? Such a devotee of Lord. So this plan or that thirst which has happened to this Parikshit Maharaj, right? Which has came to this Parikshit Maharaj has begun actually. So for quenching this thirst, he has to enter to the hermitage, right? Yeah, and he has and doing actually Parikshit Maharaj is a person of principles, like we read, right? So principles means in the next chapter also, 19, you will read, right? So Parikshit Maharaj, principles in the sense he used to respect Brahmanas, he used to protect cows, right? He was God consciousness, and the whole citizens were nicely following the God consciousness. So these three principles are important for any citizens or the king, right? King, so that everybody goes towards the progresses towards what Goloka, right? So this Parikshit Maharaj was ruling nicely with all those principles and all. So Kali was not able to progress and all. So in order to progress and to give Srimad Bhagavatam, so this all what we say as drama or whatever, thirst, and doing this act of putting a dead snake on the shoulders of Saimik Rishi. So this all happened. Material things happened in order that was the will of the Lord to take back Parikshit Maharaj, because when there take back Parikshit Maharaj, and he also wanted to Srimad Bhagavatam to be given, right? So to first given to the Parikshit Maharaj from by the Sukadeva Goswami, then Sutta Goswami to us, right? So this was a will of the Lord to give Srimad Bhagavatam to us, and also to deliver Parikshit Maharaj, and also it was started with this uncultured or misbehavior of this Brahmana boy, right? So Brahmana boy, he thought himself as powerful, and he misutilized his powers and all towards a lower caste systems like Kshatriya and all. So that was he did not try to understand the problem. He did not try to approach anybody, right? Did not approach anybody before taking the decision and all. So he acted whimsically. He acted whimsically. He wanted to show in front of his friends and all that how powerful he is, right? That's why he acted in that way. So we have discussed one example on that also, right? One example, right? One example Radhesham Prabhuji, two devotees where one devotee was not feeling was not having a good thoughts about other devotee and all, but this devotee consulted Radhesham Prabhuji about this and inquired about this problem and all. But that's why the Prabhuji could fix both of their problem, and they could become friends again and all. So the consultation is the key, right? That is the lesson to be learned from this today. We cannot ask, we cannot act whimsically. We have to consult when there is a problem. We have to consult our superiors, right? We have to consult our Shiksha Gurus, Diksha Gurus, or any devotee who are actually good to give the advice and all. So good to give advice and all, that should be consulted. So Brahmanical power was misused by these Brahmanas. So from that point of the time, the caste system fell down, right? When the higher caste system felt that I am powerful and try to curse the lower caste systems for the small acts and all, right? Small acts and all, then the whole varnas got disturbed, and it has begun from there actually, right? One example we can give, for example, if you have thousands of mosquitoes in the room, we cannot take Sten gun and kill these mosquitoes. If somebody is trying to take Sten gun and try to kill these mosquitoes, and the other devotees gets injured, and he cannot say sorry to others devotees who got hurt because of this Sten gun and all. So such kind of small thing happened to Saimika Rishi, but so much of curse was given to Parikshit Maharaj, and that because of that unculture or whatever it may be, disrespect, this has been started, and whole Brahminical culture began to fall down, and other caste systems also fell down actually. That is the reason of the Kali Yuga. We do not see any Brahmanas or Kshatriyas properly. So I think that is the
Hare Krishna Prabhu. One small extension or question to that particular thing. But Parikshit Maharaj, whatever, I'm not sure, it is mentioned somewhere while reading it, like there is some small mistake as well, right, Prabhu, from Parikshit Maharaj side as well, because that Rishi is under deep meditation. When he is under deep meditation, and he has just put the dyed snake in his neck, but there is no need for him to do that kind of act. I'm not saying that Brahmana is correct. Brahmana, yes, he has not consulted, he has not done all that. Like he has done such a cruel punishment. He has done 7 days, and he did some show off and all that. But Parikshit Maharaj side as well, there is some mistake. That is not correct, Prabhu?
Yeah, this can be answered in many ways, Prabhu. One or two things I would like to answer here is, you can consider as a mistake, but see, we understand that Parikshit Maharaj is a great devotee of the Lord. Again, I'm repeating this, and he never he knows that the Brahmana Go Brahmana Thayacha, right? He used to respect the Brahmanas and also cows, right? He has protected, we know that he was protected, he has protected the cow and the bull from the Kali, right? So he certainly is a protector of cows, he is protector of Brahmanas and all, but committing a mistake for these Brahmanas, Parikshit Maharaj, it's a material problem is given to this devotee, right? We should understand that. Otherwise, he's a devotee, understand this, right? We daily chant, right? We have to respect Brahmanas, we respect, protect cows and all. So Parikshit Maharaj was also known, he know this, and also he is a God consciousness person. He lived by all these principles. So he has disrespected this Brahmana because of the situation, actually, because of the situation of thirst. And we should understand here clearly Prabhupada writes that this was the purpose of the Lord, right? If Arjuna was not in a problem or was not in a distress, right? Srimad Bhagavad Gita was not have been come into being, right? Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam will not have come into being, right? So that's why it was when this problem occurred, it was been discussed by Parikshit Maharaj and Sukdev Goswami, and then Sutta Goswami gave to us. So we have to understand the material problems. He could with his prowess, he could rule the kingdom for the many thousands of years without any flaw, right? Without any flaw, everything was in prosperity, right? Everything was prosperous. Every citizen was happy. But because of small problem, why this problem has happened? Because the Lord, that was the will of the Lord. The Prabhupada in the last purpose, it's clearly writing. It was the Brahmana boy acted because that was the plan of the Lord. That's why he cursed. And Maharaj Parikshit, the thirstiness also came to Maharaj Parikshit because he could conquer whole world or even Kali. How he could not conquer the thirst, small thirst and all. I agree. Yeah, we may say that he should not have put a dead snake on his shoulders, but that he has acted as per the Kali, or as per the plan of the Lord and all. So that's why everything has come. Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, and everything has come. So that clearly Prabhupada also last purpose he writes, even Samiti Rishi or even Singhi acted as per the guidelines of the as per the Lord. Did I
Yes,
answer?
Prabhuji, I think I also added to add one point. So whenever God needs to deliver something to the benefit of the world, he creates a situation like this. For example, Mother Sita was abducted so that the Ravana could be ended. Arjuna was in distress in the battlefield so that Bhagavad Gita could be delivered. So as you said, Srimad Bhagavatam had to be given to the world. So this was a situation created by Lord.
Right. Yeah. Because it was spoken for 7 days. Yes. You see, Prabhuji, see, we have to understand Parikshit Maharaj was a devotee of Lord. He has seen the Lord in the womb of Uttara, right? When Ashwatthama released the weapon. So, Parikshit Maharaj would have anyway gone to back home Godhead, right? If this situation was not there also, he would have gone. But the situation was created for us actually. So that we have to understand. Parikshit Maharaj was nicely ruling the kingdom. He was following the principles. He was God consciousness. So he was a devotee of the Lord. He was the son of the devotee. So every qualification he had, right? Till then, there was all prosperity was there in the kingdom. All the citizens was there. He could conquer. He did not allow the bull or Kali. Kali could not conquer him, right? He mercifully gives some places so that Kali could progress because of the Lord's will and all. So such a powerful person following this act, we can understand this. See, one more example is if we are rich, right? If we are rich, rich of the material possessions, we going toward God consciousness is very difficult. But for a person who is poor, actually, is not what we say, is not disturbed by the material possessions and all. So poverty people will go to the God consciousness quickly, but reach. But see, here also Parikshit Maharaj was a king of whole world, not India, whole world. So he was king. So he was materially very rich and all. So situation, even though if not situation was not there, he would have gone back probably. He would have gone back, but situation was given by the Krishna so that we all will be delivered. I think I have answered or added to your point, Sapal Prabhuji and Prasad Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Don't know if you are on mute, Prabhuji. Yeah, you are on mute. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Sorry, last minute I asked you to change to the previous chapter. Forgive me. I should have given you enough notice, but it looks like it is a big chapter and is important. Thank you for taking time to go through the rest of the slokas, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving this opportunity. You wanted me to read this purpose, that's why you have given this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I really felt nice reading this purpose and all. I myself had some also questions before this, but reading this chapter, that clarified all my doubts and all to some extent. Probably. So thank you. Though you have changed lastly, but it helped me actually.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for class.
Manchakal Prabhyasya Krupasindhi Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Muntakotu Vaishnavabhiki Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nanda Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Ekadasi Mahamotsav ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you all devotees. Hare Krishna.